Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are wading into some pretty turbulent waters. If you've glanced at a newspaper, opened a browser tab, or, scrolled through your financial news feed in these first few weeks of 2026, you have almost certainly seen the phrase. It's practically buzzing in neon lights everywhere you look. The millionaire exodus.
It really does sound like the plot of a disaster movie, doesn't it? You can almost picture it. The wealthy frantically packing their bags, loading up the private jets in the middle of the night, fleeing while the dramatic music swells.
It really does. The narrative is absolutely everywhere right now. Wealthy people are abandoning the UK, London is hollowing out, and everyone is taking their gold bars and heading for the exit. It feels very panic-driven. But as we usually find on this show, the headline is rarely the whole story. It's usually just the loudest part of the story.
Exactly. Panic sells papers, but it rarely explains the economics.
So today we're going to look at a fascinating piece of analysis from Jamaica Homes. The article is titled, London's Tax Reset, Jamaica's Property Pull, Rethinking the Millionaire Exodus. And I have to say, this is a really interesting source because it forces us to connect two worlds that don't usually sit in the same sentence.
Right. On one side, you have the high-stakes, gray suit world of London tax policy, very serious, very dry. And on the other, you have the tropical, high-yield real estate market of Jamaica. It seems like a strange pairing until you look at the threads connecting them.
And the mission for today isn't just to talk about tax brackets or beachfront villas, though don't worry, we will definitely get to the villas. Our goal is to understand how global wealth is actually repositioning itself in 2026. The source suggests it's less about panic and flight and more about, well, strategy.
Precisely. We need to look past the hysteria and understand the why. And specifically, we're going to explore a concept that the source material highlights called diversification of place. It's a sophisticated way of looking at where you live, not just as a home, but as a risk management tool.
Diversification of place. I love that term. It sounds very 2026. Okay, let's pin that for a moment and start with the scene in the UK. The buzzword is exodus. Is it real? Are the private jets actually lined up on the runway at Luton, or is this just media hyperbole?
Well, let's look at the hard numbers referenced in our source material. They cite the Private Wealth Migration Report 2025 from Henley & Partners. That report forecasts a net outflow of roughly 16,500 high net worth individuals from the UK.
16,500?
Yeah.
That is, well, that's a small town. That sounds like a massive number for a G7 economy.
It is significant, certainly. It's effectively double the rate of previous years. But before we get carried away, we need to clarify who we're actually talking about. In this context, a high net worth individual, or HNWI, is defined specifically as someone with at least $1 million in investable liquid wealth.
Okay, so this isn't just someone whose semi-detached house in a nice part of London has gone up in value over 30 years and makes them millionaire on paper.
Exactly. We aren't talking about house rich, cash poor. We're talking about people with liquid capital stocks, bonds, cash. And that distinction is crucial because this group is, by definition, mobile. They have options. If they want to move, they can. But the source material makes a very strong argument that while the media calls this an exodus, it's much more accurate to call it a rebalancing.
A rebalancing. That implies a shift in weight, not a total abandonment. So what triggered this rebalancing? Why are they shifting their weight specifically right now? We know taxes are involved. Everyone is talking about taxes. But is it just that the bill got too high?
It's a bit more structural than just the price tag. It comes down to a major policy shift that really took hold in April 2025. The UK government abolished the non-domiciled or non-dom tax regime.
The famous non-dom status. That has been a fixture of the UK wealthy elite for, 200 years? It feels like something out of a period drama.
Since the colonial era, essentially. It allowed certain residents, people who lived in the UK but considered their permanent home or domicile to be elsewhere, to avoid paying UK tax on their foreign income, provided they didn't bring that money into the UK.
So you could live in Mayfair, send your kids to Eton, enjoy the London theater, but earn your millions in Dubai or New York, and the UK taxman wouldn't touch it.
Correct. But that is gone now. It's been replaced by a residence-based system. If you live there, you pay there. Foreign income and gains are treated differently now, and on top of that, there's been a generally tougher approach to capital gains tax.
So the bill has definitely gone up, but I have to play devil's advocate here. If you have $10 million in the bank, does paying a bit more tax really make you pack up your entire life? Is it purely about the money?
That is the million-dollar question, pun intended. And this is where the analysis in our source material gets really interesting. It argues that for wealthy families, it's not just about the cost of the tax, it's about the loss of predictability.
Ah, the uncertainty factor.
Think about it. These families plan decades ahead. They're thinking about intergenerational wealth transfer, trusts, legacy. When the rules of the game change suddenly, when a long-standing regime is just wiped away, it signals instability. And if there is one thing capital hates more than taxes, it's uncertainty.
It's like playing a board game where the host changes the rules halfway through.
Yeah.
You might still be winning, but you don't want to play anymore because you don't know what rule they'll change next.
That's a perfect analogy. So it's less, I can't afford this, and more, I don't know what you're going to do to me next. It forces a reassessment. Where do we live? Where do we raise the kids? Where do we base the family office? And naturally, real estate sits right at the center of those questions.
Because a home isn't just a number on a spreadsheet.
No. As the source points out, a home anchors your residency, your schooling, your social networks. It's a symbol of belonging. So when the policy shifts, the reaction isn't necessarily sell everything and never come back.
Right, they aren't necessarily abandoning London entirely.
No. It often looks like downsizing. Maybe they sell the massive estate in the countryside and keep a smaller flat in the city. They might reduce the number of days they physically spend in the UK to manage their tax residency status, staying under that 183-day limit. But the key behavior we are seeing is that they start redirecting new investment elsewhere.
They stop pouring water into the bucket that has a hole in it. Or at the very least, they stop buying new buckets in the UK.
Exactly. They start looking for a second bucket.
Which is the perfect segue to the other side of this equation. If the money, or at least the new investment, is looking for a home, where is it going? And this is where the analysis introduces Jamaica. Now, I have to ask, because this seems like a leap. Is Jamaica trying to be the new London? Are we going to see skyscrapers and stock exchanges popping up in Montego Bay?
No, and the source material is very clear on that to manage expectations. Jamaica is not trying to compete with London on financial infrastructure, legal depth, or scale. You're not going to replace the city of London with an island economy. They're playing a different game entirely.
So what's the pitch then? If I'm a wealthy investor looking to diversify my place, why look at the Caribbean?
The competition is on what they call use value.
Use value. Break that down for us. How is that different from, say, buying a flat in Chelsea as an investment?
Well, in the UK, especially in prime London, high-end property was often treated primarily as a store of value. It was like a gold bar made of bricks. You bought it, you parked your money, you waited for it to appreciate, you might not even live in it.
The lights out neighborhoods. We've all walked through them. Rows of multi-million-pound houses with no lights on because nobody is home.
Exactly. It's a vault. In Jamaica, the proposition is hybrid. It's based on utility. It's a personal retreat where you can actually take the family for 3 months to escape the winter. It's a connection to heritage for many. And this is the kicker. It's a revenue-generating asset.
Okay, so you can enjoy it, but it also works for you. It's not just sitting there gathering dust. The article mentions 3 main drivers for why Jamaica is attracting this specific kind of wealth. Let's walk through them because they seem to form the pillars of this pull factor. First up, tourism.
This is the economic backbone. The demand for real estate in places like Montego Bay, Negril, or Ocho Rios isn't based on abstract financial speculation. It isn't based on a bubble. It's based on visitor arrivals.
Actual people getting off planes.
Correct. The demand for short-term rentals, your Airbnbs, your vacation villas, is tied to actual footfall. The source makes a great point here. This is a metric investors can track. You can look at airlift capacity, you can look at hotel occupancy rates, you can stress test the investment.
It's not just, I hope this goes up, it's people are coming here, they need a bed.
Precisely. It turns the property into a business with cash flow, rather than just a stagnant asset waiting for capital appreciation. You're buying into an active economy.
But tourism can be fickle. We've seen that historically. However, the second driver mentioned in the report was the one I found most fascinating and perhaps the most stabilizing factor. They call it the diaspora effect.
This is a massive factor that often gets overlooked in traditional Wall Street analysis. A huge portion of buyers in Jamaica aren't just anonymous foreign investors looking for a return. They are people with family, cultural, or historical ties to the island.
It's emotional capital.
It is emotional, but here's the fascinating thing. That emotion has a very hard financial consequence. These buyers hold properties longer. They don't panic sell the moment the market dips or interest rates tick up.
Because they aren't just selling a unit. They'd be selling their grandmother's home or their connection to their roots or their future retirement dream.
Exactly. It creates price resilience. The market behaves differently during downturns compared to other resort markets because the capital is sticky. It wants to be there. It's not footloose capital that runs at the first sign of trouble.
That's a really cool concept, sticky capital. It acts as a floor for the market price.
So we have tourism providing the yield and the diaspora providing the stability. What about the government? Are they rolling out the red carpet to replace the UK's non-DOMs?
That's a third driver. Incentives. Jamaica does offer tax incentives, specifically through special economic zones or SEZs and approved tourism developments.
Is this free money? Is it a tax haven situation? Not quite. And this is a very important caveat the source makes. These aren't blanket loopholes like the old non-DOM status might have felt like. These are incentives for development.
So you have to build something. You have to contribute.
Or be part of a structured project that adds value to the economy. The source emphasizes that serious investors treat these incentives as a bonus, not the foundation of the deal.
Right. If the deal doesn't make sense without the tax break, it's probably not a good deal to begin with.
Exactly. You don't buy a house just to save on tax. You buy it because it's a good asset. The tax break is just the cherry on top.
Okay, so we've painted a pretty rosy picture here. You leave the rainy, high-tax UK, and you buy a villa in Jamaica that pays for itself and connects you to a vibrant culture. But we promised a reality check. The article features insights from a practitioner on the ground, Dean Jones, the founder of Jamaica Homes. And frankly, he doesn't sound like a hype man.
No, and that gives the analysis a lot of credibility. He's actually quite cautious. His core argument is that Jamaica rewards clarity and discipline. He warns explicitly against what he calls romanticism.
Which is funny because when I think of Jamaica, I think of romance. Sunsets, beaches, rum punch. It's easy to get swept away.
And that's a trap. Jones points out that operating a short-term rental is operational intensity. It's hard work. Managing a property to international standards in a tropical climate isn't something you just set and forget.
What does that look like practically?
It means when the air conditioning breaks on a Saturday night, you need a guy. It means managing guest expectations, cleaning crews, landscaping in a place where things grow very fast. If you are sitting in London trying to manage a villa in Ocho Rios without a professional team, it's not a dream. It's a nightmare.
So it requires professionalism. It's a business, not a hobby. And he also mentions some serious risks that we can't ignore. We have to talk about the weather.
Climate exposure is the big one. We are talking about the Caribbean. Hurricanes are a reality.
It's not if, but when.
Exactly. And that changes the financial modeling. You have to factor in high insurance premiums, which have been rising globally for coastal properties. You have to factor in resilience planning building with concrete, storm shutters, backup generators. If you're moving capital from a stable, albeit expensive market like London to the Caribbean, you are swapping one set of risks for another.
Right. You trade political risk tax changes for physical risk hurricanes.
And don't forget currency risk. The Jamaican dollar fluctuates. If your rental income is in local currency, but your expenses or your lifestyle costs are in pounds or USD, exchange rates can eat into your returns if you aren't careful.
Jones's warning seems to be, Jamaica is not a place to park capital blindly.
He specifically mentions due diligence on titles and legalities. The conveyancing process in Jamaica isn't as click of a button as it might be in some Western markets. You need a good lawyer, and you need to check the paperwork.
So let's zoom out and try to synthesize this. We have the UK, which is still a global heavyweight, but is becoming more expensive and less predictable for the super rich. And we have Jamaica, which offers a lifestyle and a business case, but comes with its own set of operational challenges and physical risks. How do these two fit together in the mind of an investor in 2026?
That brings us back to the core theme of this deep dive, the global rebalancing.
It's not one or the other. It's not goodbye London, hello Kingston.
No, it's about diversification. But not just diversifying what you own, like buying stocks versus bonds. It's diversifying where you own.
Diversification of place. There is that phrase again.
Yes. The UK remains a global anchor. It has legal certainty, deep capital markets, excellent universities, world-class culture. Wealthy families generally want a footprint there, but the cost-benefit equation has shifted. They are realizing they are overexposed to the UK taxman and the UK political climate.
So they keep the flat in Kensington, But they don't keep all their wealth there. They don't put all their eggs in the UK basket.
Exactly. They respond by spreading their risk across jurisdictions. They keep a foothold in London, perhaps, but they build a lifestyle asset in Jamaica that also generates yield. They might spend 4 months in the UK, 4 months in Jamaica, and 4 months traveling.
It's a portfolio approach to life, basically. You're hedging your bets geographically. If one place gets difficult, you have another place to go.
In a way, yes. And for Jamaica to succeed in attracting this specific slice of wealth, not just the mass tourists, but the high net worth capital, the source notes that credibility is key.
What do they mean by credibility in this context?
It means the destination has to work. It's not about getting the most volume of buyers, it's about sustainable participation. Clear rules, transparent processes, safety. The wealthy want to know that if they put money in, they are treated fairly and the asset is secure.
So what does this all mean for us? I mean, most of our listeners, and myself included, probably aren't dodging the non-dom tax rules or buying multi-million-dollar estates in Ocho Rios tomorrow. Why should the average person care about where millionaires are moving?
It's a valid question, but the lesson here applies to anyone interested in how the world works, or even anyone managing their own smaller portfolio. It's about looking at assets through the lens of utility and lifestyle, not just spreadsheets.
Can you expand on that?
Whether you have 1 million or 100, the question is shifting. For a long time, the only question was, where will my money grow the fastest?
Pure accumulation, the high score.
Right. But now, post-pandemic, amidst global instability, the question is becoming, where does my money serve my life best?
I love that shift. It's moving from how much to what for.
And understanding that stability isn't just about governments, it's about feeling at home. The diaspora effect teaches us that. Connection creates stability. If you invest in a place you love and understand, you're likely to make better long-term decisions than if you just throw money at a graph on a screen.
That is a powerful takeaway. The headlines shout about exodus, but the reality is just people looking for a place where their capital and their lives are treated with respect.
And where they can find that balance between profit and paradise, provided they are willing to put in the work. As Dean Jones said, no romanticism, just clear eyes and good planning.
Absolutely. No free lunches, even in paradise. Well, that brings us to the end of this deep dive. We've gone from the tax offices of London to the beaches of Jamaica, and hopefully debunked a few myths along the way.
It's been a fascinating journey.
I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. In a world where digital nomads and global capital move more freely than ever, we often ask, where is the best place to invest?
But perhaps the question the wealthy are really asking now, and maybe the question we should all ask is, where does my money get treated with the most respect? And does that place actually feel like home?
A great question to end on.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you on the next deep dive. Goodbye.